Welcome back to the garage. I've got the 360 just about all torn apart, so I just want to show you the destruction that was in the oil pan and what all parts were salvageable and what aren't. So I'll show you that, and then it's going to be a little while before I can get all the parts here to put it back together. So I've got some side things I want to do to the truck to make it easier to work on and just to make it better. So I'll show you all that stuff. So, hole and piston. Obviously all pistons are trash. The block is almost savable. I'm not going to use it though, but all it did was scratch it, and you can't see that. So let's grab this. There's some scratches on the side there at the bottom, so it didn't try to bust a hole in it. If I wanted to, I think the block would clean up at 30, which is what I've got 30 thousandths over forged pistons, so I think it might clean up, but I've already got another block I'll be using. So here's the pile of parts. Killed one lifter. I'm gonna have to replace all the lifters because after something this catastrophic, it's just not a good idea. The cam's fine, so they just got piles of piston parts. Broke off 2 intake valves. The heads are fixable. It didn't really hurt them that bad. So while I've got rods ordered, I just went with some SCAD I-beams. So we got forged pistons, we're gonna forged rods. We'll be using a stock crank. Should be all right. Hopefully the crank doesn't go next or something stupid. I think it'll be fine for the power level we're aiming for. But some things I want to do to the truck is this harness is always in the damn way while you're trying to get to everything. And the only reason you can't just fold it to the side is because the transmission harness is still hooked up. So I'm going to put a Deutsch right here so that whenever you're working on it, you can disconnect everything on the harness and just fold it off to the side instead of it hanging over everything. So that'll make that easier. Make it easier to work on. If I ever got to pull the trans, I can just deconnect it right there and leave everything else hooked up, pull the transmission out. Also, I'm getting rid of the trans cooler up front. I'm going to get rid of these, kind of clean up that area. I'm going to put a trans cooler under the truck with a fan on it. If you're in a cold climate area, you want to keep these. You want the radiator. You want it to help keep stuff warm in a way. But I live in the south. It doesn't really get that cold. And there's no reason to be heating it up with the coolant, with being in the coolant system now. So I'll put it back there. I've seen lots of other people do that. It'll be fine. Just less lines going to the front. Easier to work on because it gets clustered right there. I'll probably still be using that same crap exhaust, the eBay headers that it had on it, just because everything's expensive. So I want to do just what I got to do to get it back together. But I do want to make it easier to work on, so that I don't have to just make it easier. I hope to not have to work on it so dang much, but I think it'd be stupid not to. There's also a lot of wires in here, like the AC I deleted, and there's this crap that's been, this guy keeps falling on headers, and I keep zip tying it to stuff, but it's not in use. And I think I might be able to make it not throw code by getting rid of that or putting a resistor in, but I'm going to take the extra wires out of the harness and just have them over here. So if I have to have those wires for some reason and have to hook that back up, I can do it, but not in the way, not just hanging by zip ties. So I'll Deutsch connect the trans. That'll make that easier. So if I have to pull the trans out, unplug one thing and out. You don't have to mess with getting everything else unplugged. I think that's the biggest things I want to do. I'm thinking about making some engine mounts because of how getting to the header bolts on these things, plus being a little better engine mount, a little firmer, wouldn't bother me. But when you're trying to get under the header over this engine mount right here, it's real tight. Now, you can buy them already fabbed up, and they're just a little smaller with polyurethane bushings. It's almost 300 bucks. I think I can make a jig with these. I can use the original mounts, make a jig, and then I can make my own flat plate with some tube and a bushing. I can do all that. I think I'd rather make it than buy it, and then I'll just save those jigs and maybe I'll make more later for other people or someone else. Plus, I just like doing that stuff. Also, the transmission crossmember is mangled, or I don't remember if it was mangled when I got it or when I ran this thing over a curb and backed up. It's like it kind of ripped it and dragged it back and shoved the trans up a little higher in the back when it rolled up. So they make a tubular one, and that same company that makes the engine mounts makes like a kind of a triangulation kit. It's a frame stiffening kit. It's got a bunch of bars and connects and everything, and you can get their transmission mount that has the setup to accept the rest of their kit. I'm kind of thinking, just to get some experience and more fab stuff, I think I'm going to make one of those too. I'll probably do that after the engine's back in. I may throw the engine in or a block in with the mounts to have it held in place as a jig, and then start making the trans cross member. But I'd like to start doing some of those things, get this thing a little better, a little easier to work on, a little more reliable. I'm not a big fan of butt connectors, but I butt connected this crap. I'd like to get rid of that, solder it, loom it, and tape it. And that's about it. I think if I address those issues, it'll be easier to work on. Hopefully we don't have to work on it so much, but it'll be easier. And that anything to make this easier. It's not that tight of a fit in this truck, but like my full-size Ram, I could sit on the fender and get to everything. On this, you can get to things, but I had to rip the whole front nose apart, or else you're really hanging over it, and it just sucks. So anything to make it easier. So I messed up. I didn't set cam timing right. Usually when I do that, especially on a customer's car, I'll check it like 30 times and I won't be sure until it's actually started. But trying to do the camera stuff, thinking about making the YouTube videos, being tired, getting in a hurry, I know where I had that tooth off for 2.5 teeth. I know how that cam gear, how the crank gear works. I understand how it works. I just wasn't paying enough attention. I should have stopped. Should have thought a little more about it. Actually looked at it again. I could have caught it. I know it's supposed to line up on that other mark. I just didn't do it. I just messed up. So had I not done that, this thing wouldn't be apart. And we'd be doing other cool stuff. But now we're getting good forged pistons. We're getting forged rods. As long as I don't do it again, we'll be all right. And I'll be documenting building the engine. I'll probably do a little more to the head since they got to be apart anyway. I got to get all new intake valves because I bent every one of them. But I'll keep you updated. So, well, thank you for watching. And please like and subscribe. We'll keep doing this.